Hello everybody.
Hi, good morning.
We've just had breakfast.
It's morning, yep. 11:15, just very indecently late
late?
breakfast. Yeah, had a nice lie-in actually. We spent a really nice night here, and we're at the Clerwent Dam again. It was a night we did a couple of nights back. Didn't we? It's really peaceful here.
Yeah,
Enjoyed it.
We wanted to be here this morning because we want to go to what's called the Rhayader waterfall.
And we also want to visit Elan Valley village.
This is a village that was mainly built up for the people, the men that were doing the construction in the late 1800s, early 1900s. For the people who were doing the construction of all of the reservoirs and the dams, and they actually built a whole village just to accommodate these people. So we want to film some of that, don't we?
We do. And I just want to mention one thing where it's often quite a concern for people when you're going off grid about finding safe places. And the time we've been here, there have been question marks over the safety of a couple of them. Only minor things. They weren't enough to change our mind though, were they?
Well, we didn't change our mind, whether we should have done, is it?
It's just be interesting to hear what you guys think about this actually, because we're out to try and find all the information we can about staying safe off grid. We're parked up at the end of a dam, and the dam road is very narrow single track. And last night, sort of mid-evening, about 4 or 5 boy racers turned up, and they came up to the end where we were parked with another motorhome, and then
you got the feeling that they were used to coming
here. I don't know to do what. Don't want to judge.
But because there were 2 motorhomes,
they went back.
They didn't stay.
No.
They went back to the other side of the dam.
But you do wonder, because I mean, we always leave our van action ready in terms of facing the right way to drive off, should we? But basically, when you've got a narrow little road like that, you couldn't. If they decided to block the dam, you wouldn't actually be able to get away. There are no roads here. This is a cul-de-sac, is the word, really. So yeah, it's just, I'd be interested to hear whether you would have stayed or whether you would have moved. We actually decided to stay, although you did offer to move because I was a little bit worried about it. And in the end, there was nothing to worry about. We were just here, beautiful, quiet night with only the sheep to keep us company. Yeah,
it just makes you think a little bit when you're on a dead end with nowhere to go except one direction. That one direction could be blocked off quite easily, and you hadn't even got a mobile signal to phone emergency services.
Yeah, there's just no mobile signal whatsoever. And it was interesting because the other park up that we had also had that kind of issue, didn't it? Although you could have got past a vehicle, it wasn't a particularly narrow road.
Well, we didn't see anybody there.
No, we didn't, but there was evidence of
in the car park. There were, where boy racers do donuts in their car and spin round. There was sort of signs of tracks of circles.
Someone doing that.
Or maybe motorbikes or something.
Yeah, something like that. It was all very neatly done. You'll probably see it in the vlog, actually, because you did some drone footage, and I think it's quite clear in there. It's like crop circles.
Looks like a roundabout, doesn't it?
It does, like crop circles, big dust. But those sorts of things, they're all like clues, really, as to whether you should stay in a place or not. So,
yeah, probably if we had lots of options, we probably wouldn't have stayed, but there weren't many options.
There weren't many options.
There are, I mean, this is a big problem. There are a lot of these, certainly in the Elan Valley, the policy is that on the Elan Valley estate, there is no overnight camping. But this little bit where we are, there's no signs over this side. There is over the other side,
of the
but this is a separate parking area. So we saw that as okay.
Yeah, and that's all very recent. I don't know if it's been since coronavirus. When we came here 3 or 4 years ago, there were no parking signs at all. You could park wherever you wanted to. It would be your question as to whether you would ignore that and park anyway. Maybe arrive late, leave early and leave no trace. You'd probably be okay, but we don't know. We haven't seen any rangers or anything, have we?
No.
We've been okay so far.
Anyway, just something to think about.
And we'd value your input too about things you would consider before parking off-grid for safety. Just leaving our park up from Clerwent Dam. It's been very nice. So as you can see, it's like a little T-junction. Not a T-junction, a cul-de-sac. just room for one vehicle at a time. So it's rather choppy today and there's a really cold wind. We've just parked up at the bottom of the Clerwent Dam, ready for our walk up the waterfall. As we started our walk, we wondered what on earth all this bleating was about. And we quickly realised that this little baby that you can see on the left has been separated from his mum. It's mummy and baby. How did they get split up? Unfortunately, the baby's the wrong side of the fence. So there's the mum. But it's a fence and the baby can't get back. I hope they sort themselves out.
Oh, you can see Merlin down there in the car park. We're on our way up to the Rhayader waterfall. Oh, this is lovely, isn't it?
Well, this is pretty blissful. Just the sound of the water cascading over the rocks. Ooh, a bit of blue sky. Whoops! It's very slippery.
I'm glad we came up here.
Me too. I quite fancy some chippies when we get back.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a little bit smug at the moment because something I use in my kitchen to save electricity is giving us chip power in Merlin. So, this is the Vortex Instant Mini. You can see that? Instant Vortex Mini. It's cooking at 180 degrees and it's cooking for 9 minutes at the moment. And it's cooking chips. And they're looking good. Not too much longer actually. I don't think it'll need 9 minutes. I'll let you know the verdict in a little while. It's very exciting because it's the first time we've actually been able to have chips in Merlin where we haven't had to use gas.
So how's the chip butty then, Ellie?
Oh my goodness, that is so good. That's so good. If you can see these bad boys, but they're really crispy and really nice.
We're going to have a look at the Elan Valley village now. The only access to the village is across this bridge. And you know what Maya's like about walking over bridges.
Someone's not very keen on the bridge. Come on, man. You can do it. Come on. It might seem a little harsh to make Maya struggle across bridges, but we are trying very hard to desensitise her from bridges because she's really scared of them, and actually she's doing really, really well. She just needs a little encouragement and a lot of time.
So it does seem fitting to start this look at the current village by taking a quick look at the suspension bridge, which is now over 125 years old. At the time, the suspension bridge was the only access to the village. Before I show you pictures of what the village looks like today, I thought it would be a nice idea to show you what it actually looked like when the dams were being built. And this place was a hive of activity. At its peak, 4,000 to 5,000 men were involved in the building of these dams. And it was so different to the tranquil place that you see before you today. In this first picture, you can see what the entrance to the village would have looked like in the late 1800s. The original village was built in 1895. This was to be used for all the labour who were building the dams and reservoirs. The first thing to be built was the suspension bridge, as the whole village was on the far side of the river, which is the south side. The suspension bridge is still there today, although it would be most dangerous to use it, so everything is banned from crossing the old bridge. The bridge keeper position was quite senior, and nobody argued with the bridge keeper. There were a variety of huts for the men, and which hut they got mainly depended on their marital status. There were many public buildings for the workers, and all of these had their own rules attached to them. There was a fire station, police station, a school, a bathhouse, a doss house. There was a public hall and a recreation hall, and also there was a canteen and some shops. But the Elan Valley also had what they called the sick club. Every man had to pay 6p for medical care. It was really the beginning for these people for the National Health Service. There was also a hospital which had its own isolation ward. Many inquests were carried out because there were many deaths. A young boy of 11 was decapitated. All that the inquest would say was that he shouldn't have been working. He gave his age as 14, but he was actually only 11. Many men were killed by rock falls, and many more by falling from the towers where they were building the dams. There is no true record of how many men did actually die, and this was mainly because lots of the men would not give their real name, and many were known just by a nickname.
The Elan village you see today is a small purpose-built community. It was designed by the architect Herbert Tudor Buckland. It was designed to house the workers and their families who were responsible for looking after the dams and the filtration systems. It's the only purpose-built arts and crafts model village in Wales. Some of the houses are privately owned. There are also businesses in the village, and there are holiday lets as well if you want to stay in such a beautiful location. As long as you don't mind sheep, of course. The monument you see here shows when the village was completed in 1909. The building you can see here in the distance used to be the school in the village, but it's now a venue and it has various events. It's now known as Elan Valley Lodge, and it's a Grade 2 listed building. As we walk up the drive, you can see it's quite an impressive building.
And this is the old school. You can see above the entrance there it says girls enter here. Some fantastic buildings here.
The sheep round here seem very relaxed. Think you have to be extra careful when you drive off. Some of these houses are absolutely stunning.
One there for sale. I would absolutely love to have seen this when it was in use for the construction of the dams. And there's a little bridge. It's a beautiful little village, isn't it?